Hobbies podcast, where I discuss with industry experts a strategy, the way they use tools and technologies. Ever wonder how to turn your online events, webinar into profitable venture? Let's discuss with Mr. Paul how he turns his webinar into serialized event, which help him to increase the revenue. Welcome, Paul. Welcome to the Growth Hobbies podcast. I'm honored to have you. Many people on internet, on LinkedIn knows you since you have many years in the industry. Could you tell the people who still do not know, could you please a little bit introduce yourself, about your agency, about Wayne Digitals, and how you do, what do you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here, Meg. It's always fun to connect. And, it's really cool that you and I actually met on LinkedIn and now we're doing this event together. And that's one of the things that I just love about social media. And, I'm Paul Slack. I'm the CEO of a digital agency called Vindy Digital. We are a B2B full service digital agency. We've been doing digital marketing for B2Bs for over 23 years now, which is incredible when you think about what the internet might have been like 23 years ago. It's changed a lot. I'm an old sales guy turned marketer, and I just love how digital marketing really levels the playing field for businesses. And so, if you're a Fortune 500 company or you're a SaaS startup, it doesn't matter. You can get in front of your customers with the right message using digital marketing, and you can use this medium as a way to grow your business. That's what drew me to digital marketing so many years ago, and it's what gets me excited and to get up every day and go help customers because, gosh, we didn't even know that AI existed a year ago, and here we are. So it's never ending, always evolving, and that's pretty cool.
Impressive, really impressive. Thank you so much. You're doing a lot of events. I'm super excited to have you on the show and talk more about understand how do you do the event and how do you do. I have attended a couple of your events and webinars. Let's jump in and let's jump into the topic and let me know how do you do the event and how does it help you for lead generation.
Sure. Meg, I love, thanks for having me on your show. And we love virtual events. We've been doing virtual events for a long time. About 2 years ago, we decided to go from quarterly virtual events to actually serialized virtual events. And what I mean by that is we're doing a virtual event every single month for our business. And I get a lot of questions about why did we do that? And the answer is pretty simple. Number one, there's several reasons, but one of them is it feeds our content flywheel. And so, I know that your audience is B2B marketers. They really understand how important content marketing is. And so one of the things that we discovered is if we're doing an event every single month and we have a topic that we're going to cover during that event, then we go and host like an hour-long session with our community, with our audience. Now we've got all this great content that can then be repurposed and reformatted into other things. And so we'll take the content from a serialized event, a monthly event. It'll become a blog post. It'll become social media posts. We'll take the video, we'll slice it up into, 1 to 3 minute sound bites, and we'll use that in social media as well. And so it definitely feeds our content marketing efforts, and we call that a content flywheel. It's also really important for us in the world of demand generation, because when you think about demand gen or just B2B marketing in general, 95% of our customers are not in market at a given time. Only about 5% of customers are ever in market at a given time. And so what we have to do to really establish ourselves for those customers that aren't in market looking for what we do right now is we need to establish ourselves as thought leaders, as we need to show that we have authority. And so by doing these monthly events, it's giving us the opportunity to really show that we are subject matter experts on the things that we would like to talk about. In fact, one of the goals that we have at Vindy Digital is to be seen as a go-to resource in the world of B2B marketing. And so being serialized there every single month, it gives us a chance to talk about topics that are really important to us, that we think are valuable to our customers, and really it sets us up as thought leaders and helps us establish authority. Another great reason why I like serialized events is, it's good for sales enablement. So when you think about your sales reps and the fact that only 5% of your customers may be in market at a given time, you need to give your sales reps something to go talk to their prospects about. So if you've got a serialized event, then there's a reason for that sales rep to reach out to that prospect and say, hey, Meg, we've got this event coming up next month. It's on topic XYZ. I sure would like you to join and check it out. And so it's a reason for a sales rep to actually touch a prospect, which is, sales enablement. And that's certainly important. Another reason why we like serialized events is we really do believe in community building. And a lot of people think, well, that's getting on LinkedIn every day or doing something on LinkedIn. We feel like it's a lot more than that. We feel like we want to build a community of our ideal customer profile, and we want to create a place and a platform where they can go and stay connected to each other and also connected to us. And a way that we do that is we have a group on LinkedIn, but then once a month we have these serialized events where we all kind of come together. And so what's happening is over time, and we've been doing this for 2 years now, we've seen the registrations for our monthly events go up. We've seen our community grow, and we've seen, gosh, about 40% of our new business literally comes right out of this community. And so it's worked out really well for us.
Wow, it's amazing. So you already have a community where you share it, or you have an email list of the people joining, or how do you have a community? How do you share it within the community?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so there's a lot of different components to our virtual event strategy. One of them is the community. And so the community is simply just a group on LinkedIn. And the way that we really promote that group is, come to our virtual event. And then at the virtual event, we're like, hey, stay connected to us in between these monthly events in the community. But we also have, an email list of, probably 3 to 5,000 people that are in our database that, have connected to us over the years. And so when we're promoting one of our monthly events, we're sending it out an email blast to our community, to our opt-in list, rather. We're also letting people know in the community. Like you mentioned, I'm pretty active in LinkedIn, so I'm talking about it in LinkedIn as well. And so those are some of the core components. But Meg, one of the biggest secrets that I found to being successful in promoting virtual events, whether it's a serialized event or just a quarterly event or whatever the case may be, is we set up a LinkedIn event page. And then that is super powerful today for B2B, because once you set up the LinkedIn event page, then all of your sales reps can go to that event page and invite their first connections right through LinkedIn to register for the event. And we found that that's been incredibly effective for us. And so what we'll do is we'll set up the LinkedIn event page. We'll have a link to the registration page inside of the LinkedIn event. And then obviously we'll get our sales reps out there going and inviting their first connections. Remember, I talked about how serialized events are great for sales enablement. So it's the reps are out there inviting people to join the event. And then once they register, we add them to our to HubSpot, which is our marketing automation platform. Works really great.
I love that. I love the idea of having a serialized event, because many companies are doing events, are doing webinars, because they are just copying others. And oh, because everybody is doing, let's copy them. But they don't understand it's the serialized event. It is not only the one-time connection. You need to build a connection repetitively, and that is when you create authority. You establish an authority in front of your audience. One another thing that I did about it is that I added these event captures or event clips into my
Mm-hmm.
content hub, and that really helped also. So this was something that I have done for my men, but we never learned about, like, serialized. I'm sure I'm going to incorporate that into my with my clients, that serialized event. It's really good idea. Great that you share that having serialized event, it creates a more authority. And you run a monthly event? That's what I understand.
Yeah. So what we do is our content calendar kind of looks like this from an event perspective. Once a month, we do a serialized event. We call those demand gen jam sessions, and they're not as highly produced. So they're basically a Zoom meeting. And Meg, just to give you a sense of how valuable these have been for our business, when we did our first one like 2 years ago, I bet we had 50 people register and maybe 25 people show up. we consistently have over 200 people register every single month for these events 2 years later. And what's really awesome to me is the number of repeat attendees. And so to me, that's one of my gauges for success. Am I getting a lot of the people coming back over and over again? Because to your point, I want to establish authority. I want them to trust that we are a go-to resource. And so, we've seen that kind of snowball downhill. And so that's what, or up, it's gotten more and more momentum over time. The other thing that we do is twice a year, in the spring and in the fall, we do what we call a webinar. And the webinar is a virtual event, just like the Demand Gen Jam sessions are, but they're a little bit more highly produced. I actually go to a studio and I shoot that in a studio. It's a live event. We do a little bit more marketing work. The last one we just did was recently. It was on AI enablement for B2B marketers. We had almost 500 people registered for that event, and about 200 or so people show up for the event, which is great. And people ask me all the time. It's like, do I care how many people show up to the events? And as we also have seen, event attendance as a percentage of the people that register go down, and that's just part of the game. And absolutely, it's a key performance indicator. I do want to see people come to the event, but I don't know about you, Meg, but I don't attend very many events on my own live. I tend to register for an event and then watch it on my own free time later, because most folks will give you a replay link. And that's one of my big tips I just wanted to share too is, when you're on your registration page, or when you're promoting an event, whether it's a monthly serialized event or something more highly produced like a webinar, always let your attendees know that you get them, that, hey, just register. We know you're busy. If you can make it, great. We'd love to have you live. But if you can't, just register and we'll make sure that you get access to everything as if you had attended live. And that's super critical today, because we're in this content on demand society. We want to give our customers every possible option to engage with our content, whether that's live or after the event.
Absolutely. I love this. Like, this actually enhance the experience of the attendees. So could you just tell me what is your actual workflow when you are
Sure.
organizing event, and how the workflow goes like?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Meg, because when I talk to, obviously we work with B2B companies too, and they want to run events like the way that we do. And in their mind, they think the event is like the big deal. It's like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this webinar. It's going to be on this date in the future. And, we got to have a presenter and we got to have good content. And what I tell them is, think about event marketing like an hourglass, and the event itself is kind of the little skinny part in the middle, but there's a lot that goes on before the event, and there's a lot of stuff that happens after the event. And so there's a lot to it. So it starts with, the first step is you've got to have a really good topic. And it can't be a sales centric topic. You have to really understand your ideal customer profile, what matters to them, the things that you want to be known for. That really needs to drive the topic that you're going to create the event around. And then the information that you share really needs to be about helping them overcome a challenge, giving them information that's going to make their life better. You want them to have great takeaways where they'll be able to get some actionable, immediate value. And so another huge problem that I see B2B marketers struggle with is they want these webinars or these events to be selling events. And nobody wants to go to those. I don't want to go to those, Meg. I'm sure you don't. We want to log into an event, or listen to it afterwards, get some immediate value from it, or it's not worth it. So step one is make sure you've got a really good topic. Step two is you need to have some resources that are going to be available for the audience. And so, since we're not going to be selling at the event, we do want to create opportunities for what I call intent signals. And so there's a great way to do that. Make sure you've got some great resources that you promote in the event. So, hey, here's a checklist, or here's a guide, or here's a playbook that you guys can access after the event that'll help you further along in whatever the topic is. And that's great for your audience, Meg, but it's also good for you, because then you're able to tell who actually clicked on that resource, or who went after that playbook or after that checklist. And that's going to help feed your demand gen programs. It's going to help feed your ABM programs. And so always make sure you've got some resources, some extra enhanced things that folks can engage with after the event. And then you need, we talked about this a little bit, but have a LinkedIn event page, have your sales reps invite their first contacts or first connections rather to the LinkedIn event. And then email marketing is really, really critical. And so a lot of people ask about, how often should you email your audience? What is too much? And so obviously, our strategy is pretty simple. For virtual events, we like to email the first email 14 days before the event, 7 days before the event. So if you're in our list, you're going to get one 14 days before. If you didn't register, you're going to get another one 7 days before. And then if you haven't registered yet, you're going to get one the day before. And so that's our event marketing strategy. Now, once you register, we're also going to send you reminder emails, and we send those out 7 days before, the day before, and the day of. And the one thing that's really important is once you've got somebody registered for the event, that's what the goal of those emails, Meg, is to get them to actually show up to the event live. Now, I already said I really don't care one way or the other if they show up live or not, because we'll make sure they have access to everything. But when we're sending up those reminder emails, really the goal of that email is to encourage them to show up live. And the way that we do that is we always talk about community, getting their question, hey, engage with other B2B marketers like you, like-minded marketers, get your questions answered real time. That's where we're going to have the most fun. Really try to get them to show up live is really the purpose of those reminder emails. And so those are some of the key ingredients is, just making sure that you're kind of buttoning up a great topic, that you've got your sales reps inviting folks, that you're doing good email marketing. Make sure you've got a great landing page. Don't ask for more information than you really need for them to be able to get logged into the event. A lot of people will, create a laundry list form where there's 25 things you need them to fill out before they can register. We don't want to do that. Just get their name, their email address, whatever you need to really allow them to get registered. But always on that landing page, let them know that by registering, they're still going to get access to everything, even if they can't make the event. And we make that really, really clear. Again, when we think about marketing, we think about putting our customer first and foremost. We want to make it as easy as possible for them to enjoy our content, whether that's live or real time. And so we let them know that. And what we found is our conversion rates are a lot better when they know, the questions we always get, Meg, are, will there be a replay? And can I get a copy of the slides? So we just put it right on the landing page. Yeah, you'll get a copy of the slides, and you'll get all of our resources, and you'll get the replay, even if you can't attend real time. So that's kind of the pregame strategy there. Did you have a question you were going to ask?
No, exactly. I was thinking because I attended your Google Ad event. I did not like GA4 event, and I could not attend the last one, but I had registered, so I already have seen your complete doc,
Yes.
presentation, and everything. The complete doc is there, so it was not only. It was really it. I saw it and I was very happy about that. There are not only the presentation, not only just the recording, but there were much more. A lot of information was sent by you, and I was very delighted to see that. Absolutely, I love that. And so that is what I wanted to say. Yes, I really enjoyed. So that made my experience much better. So how would you track like who's reading the are you tracking anywhere by
Yeah.
any
So
sort?
when it comes to, measuring success and just metrics in general, obviously, we're a demand gen agency, and we do a lot of ABM and things like that. And so we understand that there's not always a direct correlation between I went to an event and then I bought something from us, right? So what we're wanting to do is see lead scores go up. And so that goes back to those signals. So if somebody registers for an event, their lead score is going to go up. If they actually attend the event, their lead score is going to go up. If they click on any of those resources that I told you about, that we always make available in our events, their lead score is going to go up. So we want to see, either an account that we're targeting or an individual contact. We want to see their lead score go up over time. And then obviously once somebody becomes a deal, like they're in our pipeline, we go back and analyze what were all the different places that we touched them or they were engaged with us. and we build out a kind of a macro strategy that helps us understand, what was the what was the thing that got them into our system, which oftentimes is an event, because they'll see something. Maybe they've been following me on LinkedIn for a while, but they haven't really registered for anything. And so what we'll see is, these events are great tip of the spear marketing activities. So they enter our database by registering for an event. But then, we want to see all the different things that cause them to want to move from that last step of just being in our marketing to actually becoming a deal. And what we found, Meg, believe it or not, is when we do those two events that we do twice a year, one in the spring and one in the fall, which are more highly produced webinars versus the serialized events we do every month. My call to action in those events, and I'm giving you kind of my big trade secret here, is it's always a planning meeting. So I don't care what my topic is, I'll say something like this during the webinar. Hey, I'm going to give you a lot of information today on a particular topic, and I know it's going to feel like a fire hose. And so I invite all of you to schedule some one-on-one time with me over the next 2 weeks, and we can help you apply these things that I'm teaching you today specifically to your business. And Meg, you would be amazed. I get 20 to 40 leads immediately after those events, because everybody wants to apply those concepts to their business. And what that does is gives me an opportunity to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with a prospect. And half of them that schedule planning sessions with me, they're probably just wanting to get more information to try to do it on their own, and I'm totally fine with that. But about half of them, they start the conversation with, I need you. I need your help. How do we get started? And so those are our two biggest lead generators of the year, are those two webinars. That's why we do them. And so, that to me is the ultimate metric, is how many people actually came to one of our webinars that actually moved into our pipeline, and then how many of those ultimately became new clients.
Wow, that's really great strategy, and I love the workflow that you've done. Um, I love it. It's amazing and good numbers that you are achieving. Could you just tell me what are specific tools that you are using to measure the success, to invite? Could you name some of the tools
Sure.
that you are
Yeah.
using?
I will do that. And, people, there's a lot of different ways to do event marketing. And so I'm going to tell you the way that we do it, and it may not be a good fit for everybody. But so the serialized events are really, those are the monthly demand gen jam sessions. They're super simple. We basically have HubSpot. We're a HubSpot partner. So we've got, that's our marketing automation platform, and we've got prospects and contacts in there. And so we do our email marketing right through HubSpot. And we don't have a landing page for our monthly events. We just drive them right to Zoom. And so our monthly events are done on Zoom. So, you get an email from us, you click a link, you register right on Zoom, and then it's the typical Zoom process. We also have the LinkedIn event page that I told you about. So we have that set up as well. And then, we've integrated LinkedIn to HubSpot. So when somebody registers on LinkedIn, we're able to move them over into HubSpot. And so that's basically how we're handling the monthly events. Now, the quarter or the biannual events, or the twice a year events, the one in the spring and the one in the fall that are more highly produced, we call those the webinars. Believe it or not, people laugh when I tell them this, but we don't use any software. So we build a YouTube live event. So we actually run it on YouTube Live, but we embed the YouTube Live embed code onto a HubSpot landing page, and we use HubSpot forms. So we manage the entire registration process on our website through HubSpot. And the reason for that is because we're very ABM centric. I want to know who lands on the landing page. I want to know who fills out the form. I want to know who actually watched the live event. And so rather than using like a webinar software or even Zoom webinars for these events, we just run the whole thing on our website. And if anybody's interested, they can just reach out to me on LinkedIn or whatever. I'll be happy to walk them through how to do that. But it's pretty simple. And what's cool is, as soon as the LinkedIn or the YouTube live rather is done, that video is already out there on YouTube, and we get thousands of replays. People that just find it on YouTube as an asset, a video on the YouTube network.
Absolutely, I love it. HubSpot is also one of my favorite tools that I'm using it in every day, and it's becoming a whole everything. Like they are complete workflow is you can run on HubSpot. ABM can be run on HubSpot. So it's a
Yeah.
wonderful tool. It's one of my favorite tools. Absolutely, running events and incorporating this integrations, HubSpot integrations are amazing, and they are super easy to do as well.
Hmm.
I love that. So when you do so many events, how do you? Although we talk a little bit about metrics, which metrics that you prioritize on, and how do you measure them? Which one you would like? How do you segment them?
How do we segment? Was that the
Right.
question? Yeah. So
Yeah.
when
What are the metrics that you measure, and
oh,
how
what are
do
the
you?
metrics? Okay. So we've got different metrics for the serialized events versus the two webinars we do a year. So on the serialized events, it's pretty simple. I just want to see, how many people actually registered for the event, and then how many people showed up. And so we're tracking, are our registrations going up over time? Are our attendees going up over time? We're also monitoring, how many of those folks are net new, like this was their very first event, versus how many people were repeat. And so those are some very base metrics that we look at. The next thing we look at is we do qualify everybody that registers for the event. So the events are wide open. You can come to the event. If you're an auto mechanic, you can come to the event. If you're a B2B SaaS company, it doesn't matter to us. You're welcome to come to our events. But after the event, or actually during the registration process, our SDRs are going in after somebody registers, and they're qualifying them inside of our marketing automation system. So they're identifying, are they a firmographic fit for us? Is it the right person that we need to be talking to? And that obviously kicks off some things internally for our systems. So we want to see how many of the people that registered actually became a quote unquote qualified lead. And so those are things that we monitor over time. And then eventually our macro reporting is, how many customers did we get from our marketing efforts? Because we look at all of our marketing as one thing. And yes, we get into tactics and channels because we want to measure those too. But really what I want to see, Meg, is how much money did we spend in marketing in general? What did we do with those investments? What are the things that we produced? And then how many positive outcomes came from those, starting with how many net new customers and where did they come from? And so there's two things that we measure in attribution primarily, which is one, how did they enter our system? Because that's really important. And then two, what was the tip of the spear? What was that, or the tipping point, if you will? What was that last thing that we did that caused them to become an open opportunity in our business? And so we monitor those two things, and then we want to see those obviously grow over time.
Congratulations! It's amazing. So at the end, we want a revenue, and monitoring these two metrics and how they are coming in, how they are becoming our customer. These are many core metrics that every company or every B2B organization needs to monitor. And I love the process that you are doing. So, since we are at the last, I would really, every event has a memorable moment, right? So, can you share some of the exciting, like standout moments that you have experienced during your experience?
So say that question again, Meg.
No problem. So, some memorable moment that something wow happened within the maybe within the team or with organization or with the whole community. So, some memorable moment that we're looking for.
So just in terms of like something that's pretty cool that's happened in the last year or so,
Yeah,
yeah, I
because
will
I don't
tell you.
want it to be too boring, so I want something interesting.
Yeah, well, I will tell you that to me one of the most interesting things that's happened in the last year, at least for us as an agency, is really when AI came out. And I don't know exactly when this will be, when our recording will be live, but Chat GPT just literally had its 1 year anniversary recently, and I know that I've been in digital marketing for 23 years. I got into digital marketing when the internet really became a thing for B2B. And I had this aha moment, Meg, where it was like, oh my gosh, the internet is going to change marketing forever, especially in the world of B2B. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, this is something I need to catch. This is a wave that I absolutely want to be a part of. And so I left. I was a sales rep for a company, and I actually left that company to go help B2Bs take advantage of the internet because it was so new around 2000. And obviously, our business grew over the years. It's been a great fun ride, and there's been lots of twists and turns. When we got started 23 years ago, there wasn't social media. Google wasn't a household name. I mean, it was different 23 years ago. And we've kind of ridden along as the world has changed. And then OpenAI and ChatGPT happened about a year ago. And my agency, the people in my company, came to me a little scared. They were like, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do about AI? This is going to potentially ruin us as an agency." And Meg, I saw it as exactly just like I saw the internet 23 years ago. I told my team, "Don't worry about this. This is a pivotal moment in the world of marketing. And instead of us being afraid of it, we're going to embrace it, and we're going to help companies because they're going to need to figure out how do you wield this new technology in your industry. And so we're going to not hide from it and not pretend like we're not using it, but really embrace it." And so that's been a really exciting moment just to see, I'm excited that there's this new tool out in the marketplace, but B, to see my team respond the way that they have, and just really seeing that this is a tool that's going to help us serve our customers better.
Wow, since you're talking of, that's amazing. Since you're talking about AI, and I know that you recently run the AI related event, but since the people who have already missed out or who could not join that event, could you please tell me more? How do you incorporate AI into in your day to day business, or when you are working with a client or for yourself? How are you incorporating AI into your marketing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll give you kind of a high level answer, then I'll get into some specifics. So we've got a demand gen framework that we've developed over the last 23 years that has 4 pillars in it. The 4 pillars are real simple: planning, which is what are your goals, who are you trying to market to, what messages matter to them. That's really what we mean by planning. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is activate your audience, which is where are your customers hanging out online, because you need to be there too. The third pillar is establishing authority, and what do you need to do to really show that you're able, qualified, and capable of solving the problem for your customer. And then the fourth pillar is nurturing relationships. So what are you going to do to stay top of mind with them? And so when we decided we were going to embrace AI, the first thing we did was look at our framework and go, how can we AI enable every component within this framework? And so we have an AI council, and we actually look at every piece of our business and go, how can we invite AI to this business, to this piece of our framework, if you will, so that we can provide more value to our customers. And so that's really kind of, that's our overarching strategy, is just really trying to see how do we integrate AI in each of these areas so that we can add more value to our customers. Specifically, the work that we're doing right now is a lot of seasoning documents. And so in order to get good outputs from AI, you have to train it and you have to give it good inputs. And that's prompt engineering, but it's also telling it some information about you so that when you ask it to write a blog or to help, take a transcript like from an event like we're doing today, this podcast, and turning that into social content or blog content, you've got to give it some prescriptive information first in order to get positive outcomes, or outputs rather. And so we are doing a lot of seasoning documents for our clients. So, we already help them on messaging, and we help them understand who their ideal customer is. And so we can create documents that can then be used to season and train AI so that they get better outputs. That's one example. The other thing that we're doing that's a great tip, I think, for folks is we're going and updating old content. So, we're big content marketers. Our clients that have been with us a long time, man, we've written so many blogs, hundreds of blogs, Meg, over the years for some of our clients. And they're great blogs. They're doing really well on Google or whatever the case may be. But AI gives us an incredible opportunity to update that blog content, refresh that blog content, build a persona, and then go take a really well-performing blog and then season AI with your persona and say, hey, AI, based on this persona, what else does this blog need to have? And AI will tell you. It's like, hey, you're missing this, this, and this, and this. And so there's lots of great ways to enhance your blog content, and even building out content strategies and things like that.
I love this. The way you are adapting with every evaluation in the marketing firm or marketing industry, it's really it's right. It's really commendable, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was a great conversation, and I love this. I'm sure this is going to be give a good value to my audience and our audience. Thank you so much for all your conversations. So, welcome, Paul. Welcome to the Growth Hobbies podcast. I'm honored to have you. Many people on internet, on LinkedIn, knows you since you have many years in the industry. Could you tell the people who still do not know? Could you please a little bit introduce yourself about your agency, about Wayne Digital, and how you do what do you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here, Meg. It's always fun to connect. And, it's really cool that you and I actually met on LinkedIn and now we're doing this event together. And that's one of the things that I just love about social media. And, I'm Paul Slack. I'm the CEO of a digital agency called Vindy Digital. We are a B2B full service digital agency. We've been doing digital marketing for B2Bs for over 23 years now, which is incredible when you think about what the internet might have been like 23 years ago. It's changed a lot. I'm an old sales guy turned marketer, and I just love how digital marketing really levels the playing field for businesses. And so, if you're a Fortune 500 company or you're a SaaS startup, it doesn't matter. You can get in front of your customers with the right message using digital marketing, and you can use this medium as a way to grow your business. That's what drew me to digital marketing so many years ago, and it's what gets me excited and to get up every day and go help customers because gosh, we didn't even know that AI existed a year ago, and here we are. So it's never ending, always evolving, and that's pretty cool.
Impressive, really impressive. Thank you so much. Yes, so I'll stop the recording. I